Hey, it's Amanda and Brandon Neely with Grandma's Wealth Wisdom. Now, obviously, we are not Grandma, but I believe she had some great wisdom to share with us. She had some time-tested wisdom about managing cash flow and leveraging her assets.
Today we're going to talk about the unconventional wealth building strategy used by the rich and famous.
And Grandma.
And Grandma. Now, you're likely being told lies about what everyone else is doing with their money. You think everyone is getting into real estate or ETFs and mutual funds and target date funds and high yield savings accounts, but are they really?
Well, I think part of it is, it's our Facebook lifestyle. We post the cool things
that we're proud of.
Yeah, and there's all this crazy stuff out there, and we see the facade, not the underlyings of what people are doing. Maybe.
Yeah. And we think the only way to get ahead is to be super strict about your budget, get out of debt as quickly as you can, and then start building wealth. But there's actually a privately held alternative that lots of rich people use. And it's not like private equity where it's only available if you're part of the secret club or know the right people or have the right amount of wealth.
I want to be a part of a secret club. That would be cool.
It's actually available to anyone who is willing to have an option outside of what's become conventional, and be responsible with their cash flow, manage their cash flow. And you don't have to be super wealthy or super strict with your budget in order to do it. You just have to have an open mind and be willing to be responsible. Now,
wait, that's a hard open mind and responsible.
Right.
Two things to have. That's great.
Yeah. And you don't have to get out of debt first. You don't have to be super strict, just those two things. Now, I'll full disclosure here. The Great Recession happened just a couple years after I was out of college. And so that was a really formative time for me, thankfully, and I'd already gotten a job. I felt pretty stable in that job. There was layoffs at that company and all kinds of things happened. But that really transformed how I think about my money and what I wanted to do with my money as I'm building wealth for longer term retirement, and for the things of life. I wanted to make sure that when the next Great Recession happens, that I didn't end up like some of my older coworkers that their 401ks became 201ks is like the joke, right? I wanted to make sure that I was using the best strategy for me and for my future. I didn't necessarily want to get rich, right? But I wanted to make sure I was smart and I had some stability with my finances as I got older and avoid living in poverty, as actually both of us did as children. We were both born into families that were experiencing poverty, and we wanted to make sure we never had to experience that again for ourselves and for our eventual children.
Well, and as entrepreneurs too, we wanted to have some stability when, again, starting this business after the recession, we knew that things could change very quickly.
That's true.
And so how do we make sure that we are in a good place, even if the business had to go close or whatever because of something outside of our control?
Yeah. And so that's when we learned about this grandma strategy, this option that's out there. And we heard stories like how JCPenney, the JCPenney that started the JCPenney department stores, back in the 1930s during the Great Depression, he used what we call grandma strategy to pay his employees and make sure that JCPenney, like the company, stayed alive and thrived during that time when a lot of companies were closing. We learned about how Walt Disney used this strategy to open the first Disney theme park.
Which everybody likes to go to. As I do our analysis, I feel like so many people, their goals are, I want to go to Disney World.
Take the kids to Disney World.
So I see that often, and I'm like, oh, all right. So that started because of what we do.
The kind of work that we do, yeah. And then Doris Christopher, to use a female example, she actually used a loan from her grandma's strategy to start Pampered Chef, which she eventually sold for a whole lot of money to Warren Buffett. And if she hadn't have had her money safe and liquid for her, maybe we wouldn't have that whole business of Pampered Chef, and she'd be in a totally different spot. Mm-hmm. And these are just, these are some older stories. There's also a very recent story. The biggest thing that made it into the Guinness Book of World Records. So to understand this, you got to know that Grandma's strategy uses whole life insurance, and a very particularly designed whole life insurance that you get high yearly cash value, dividends, all kinds of fun stuff. But so we're talking about life insurance here. And in 2014, a Silicon Valley billionaire opened the largest whole life insurance policy ever on record. And
2019?
It's in 2014.
24, okay.
We don't know who it is. There's plenty of people it could be. And it's a private thing between this guy or girl and the life insurance company. So we're not allowed to know. But it was $201 million that was the death benefit on this life insurance policy. And in fact, it had to be with 19 different companies in order that no one company was going to shoulder this huge burden. And this billionaire was putting $20 million into the policy in order to make this happen.
That's a lot of money.
Right. That makes you think, like, if this is what the super wealthy are choosing, what some big icons from American history have chosen, why isn't it talked about more? Why aren't more people doing it today? And we would argue that actually quite a number of people are doing it. They're just not talking about how they're doing it, partly because it's a private thing, and also partly because the people that run the alternatives like 401ks and brokerage funds and stuff, they got a ton of money they put into marketing and advertising so that you stay top of mind, or they stay top of mind with you.
Yeah.
But now that you've been introduced to this idea and that there is this smart, stable financial product out there that is used by the rich but is also accessible to the average American as well, what are you going to do about it? We challenge you to take a serious look. You might decide it's not for you, and that's totally okay. But we'd ask you, do you want to be in the place 10, 15, 20 years from now where you wish you would have
That's what
looked
we hear
into
from
this?
a lot of older clients.
Right.
They wish they would have known.
Yeah, when we talk to people in their 60s, they're like, why haven't I heard about this before? And I wish I would have known about this when I was 20 or 30 or 40 years old. And so don't like pass up this opportunity. This might be one of the only chances you get to look into this seriously. And we invite you. We'd love to do that with you. So hit subscribe to the channel. Keep watching our videos, clicking on the links, learning more. And when you're ready to have a personalized grandma strategy developed for you and shown how it can help you take more control over your financial future, we're ready to help do that for you and put together the spreadsheets and show you what it looks like. So when you're ready to do that, go to grandmaswealthwisdom.com, click on request a meeting, and we're totally ready when you are. Thanks for watching and including us on your unique journey toward a smart, stable financial future. We'll catch you next time with Grandma's Wealth Wisdom.